Hi, Achim here from InnerSpace Explorers. As you know, we have this safari this year where we go to Coron in the Philippines, and the group that's going started to discuss a little bit what type of gear we want to use, etc., etc. And the discussion came on what's better for these wreck dives there: back mount, doubles, or a side mount. And when I read about the discussion, I was like, that's a perfect topic for a video. So let's talk a little bit about that. I'm known for not being the biggest fan of side mount. I consider side mount a tool for a special need. So I go in this cave that is too narrow to swim through with doubles, or for example, there's a lot of stalactites that you could bump into with your set of doubles. So you go side mount. That for me is logic. I can remember a dive on a submarine, World War II submarine that was deep, 85 meters, and I've been diving it with a set of double 20s and 4 stages, and I found a spot where I could penetrate it, and I was like, okay, that's not going to work. I think that was one of the very few deep side mount wreck dives I ever did, because I needed those side mount tanks to go in there so I could take everything off, 2 full side mount tanks, penetrate it, look around, come back out, get my gear, get out. It would have not been possible with a set of double 20s on my back. So when we talk about wreck diving, when there is a certain wreck or a certain spot on a wreck where I feel like I have to go, I want to go, and I need side mount to do this dive in a more safe or in a safer manner, and I benefit from that. Yes. Other than that, I would always go for the doubles for a broad variety of reasons. The other thing is, I do not believe in these mixed teams, right? So we did a cave class, I think 2 years ago or so, and that was mixed. There was one guy with side mount and the rest was double. We've been always waiting for the side mount guy. And yeah, you're watching this video and you hate me for that, doesn't matter. Yes, it's a very streamlined, very slick configuration, but I always prefer to get on my backplate with my doubles and jump. It's easier, it's faster, and it of course depends a little bit on the rest of the logistics of the setup of the dive. So if I'm in Sardinia diving with Toddy, for example, and we go diving the Cala Luna or Bel Torrente or one of these caves, and you go side mount, I mean, that's the perfect setup, right? You're sitting on this boat, you take your tank, you clip it in the lines, throw it overboard, you roll in, you clip in your side mount tanks while you're hovering under the boat, and you start going. On the way back, the same thing. You go swim to the boat, there's your line, you clip in the tank, everything's fine. If I go somewhere where I have to walk a little bit, if there's heavy current and I have to prepare my stuff on the boat, I would always go for the doubles, right? I mean, getting these side mount tanks off while you're standing on the boat or while you're sitting on the boat and jumping with them, in my opinion, is always way more trouble than taking a set of doubles, grab a stage and jump. Because if I'm in a current or anything, I can sit on the boat, I can run through my pre-dive procedures, I can grab the stage, jump in the current, I can do negative entry, and I'm on my way. With a set of side mount tanks that I have to put on underwater or in the water, drifting in the current somewhere is not an option. So I have to do it on the boat, which I personally hate, but it might be me. And for the wreck itself, yeah, I mean, the problem is, and that's a discussion I had a couple of times. Where's the limit? You're on a wreck or you're in a cave, doesn't matter, and you're like, okay, it's getting so narrow, I cannot do this back mount. Okay, you go side mount. So you continue with side mount, it gets more narrow. So now you're like, okay, I cannot go through there anymore. What's next? No mount? Yeah, I mean, if you want to do that, you can go no mount. So now it's getting more tight. What do you do? No mount, breath hold, snorkel. I mean, at some point there's this limit. Okay, I cannot go any further. And yes, exploration means you have to push further, you have to find new ways, etc., etc. But at a certain point, it's beyond safety. So, I mean, there's this article about this guy in this cave, and he's like, I don't know, a couple of kilometers back in this cave, and it gets so narrow and it's deep, it's like almost 100 meters. And then he continued with a single 7-liter bottle that he was pushing in front of him to extend the line another 7 meters. I mean, what's the point of that? I mean, even if there's a big hallway beyond, what are you gonna do? I mean, you need always this single 7-liter tank to even get there so far from the surface with no backup. Is that, I would not do that. That would be for me a point where I'm like, no way, because I mean, if something happens, you're dead, right? There's no backup, there's no way of bailing out of this situation. So yeah, doesn't matter. I talked about the submarine before. That was safe. I had all my gas, I went to that submarine, there was this opening, I took my deco stages off, I clipped them in, there was a partner right there, so not leaving my tanks alone somewhere, and I swam in this, I don't know, 7-8 meters with my full side mount tanks, which I started right at the entrance of this wreck. Swam around there, didn't touch anything, no silt out or anything, no danger. I just needed the freedom of the side mount system to move in the submarine. Saw whatever I wanted to see, got back out, clipped on my deco stages, done. Would have not been possible with a regular setup with doubles plus stages, even if I would have still clipped off my stages. So that was reasonable. Would I have taken off all my gear in 85 meters of water, take this single stage tank and pushed it through there? No, because if I would be in that submarine and there's an issue, there's nobody, there's no long hose, there's no additional tank, so that's stupid. That's a situation where you cannot help yourself anymore. And that for me would be the limit. Would I have done that dive anyway? Nope, I wouldn't. Then there's the limit. Okay, I cannot go any further. That's the barrier that I cannot cross. So there is no definite answer to what's better for wreck diving. For this trip in Coron that we are doing as a group, I would go Backmount. Full stop, end of story. Because I think it's easier and there's no need for side mount. It's not planned for like super hardcore penetrations. From all I've seen so far, you don't necessarily need side mount even for deeper penetration dives. And if there's this last thing beyond somewhere in the engine room and you cannot access it, or where you can't, yeah, you can't. So yeah, for all of you who joined this trip, Backmount, in my opinion. If you want to go side mount, go side mount. But yeah, I don't see a real benefit. I personally see it more as an additional hassle. But in the end, everybody needs to decide for himself. And the other thing is, if the majority dives Backmount, I always dislike these mixed teams, although Backmount, side mount is obviously not an issue. It's not the same as open circuit and rebreather mixed, which I don't like at all. But yeah, it's of course doable. So if you like that, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. And if you have an opinion on this Backmount versus side mount in wreck diving, put it in the comment section. I'm really keen on reading this, and maybe we can start a little bit of a discussion. If you like to discuss these things more in detail, check out my Patreon site. That's where we normally have these discussions going on, and on a more private level. Take care, dive safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.